Okay.
Should be. Fingers crossed.
Says live on Facebook. So.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just going to log into.
Okay, bravo.
Grazie. Okay, yes, we're good to rock. So, Mr. Wondrich, thank you so much for taking some time out to have a chat with me.
My pleasure.
I'm just going to do a little introduction. I will try and do my best to translate everything in Italian as well.
Okay.
It'll be fun. By all means. Welcome again. This is our virtual bar, if that's how you can call it, that we've been doing through the COVID. I had a big list of people. Your name was on that list. I would like to thank Charlotte Alt, who helped me out in contacting you and making this possible.
Thank you, Charlotte.
So, very, very honored to be able to have a chat with you. Sir David Wondrich, author of Punch, of Imbibe, which is one of the books, the first version, am I correct?
Yeah, that's the first version.
Okay, which is coincidentally is a book I picked up recently because we did a topic on our advanced level where we were talking a lot about classic cocktails. So I took the liberty to put your name on our course.
Excellent, excellent. There's also an Italian edition.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously things turn out to be a little bit better in English. I prefer them in English anyway. When it comes to mixology.
Yeah.
Okay, so drinks correspondent for Esquire a few years ago.
Yeah, for 17 years until 2016.
Fantastic. 5 times Tales of the Cocktail Spirit Award winner.
I think 6 now.
Wow. Okay, my bad, my fault.
I'm pretty sure I have 6 plates.
Fantastic. And you are a founding partner of the BAR.
Yes.
Okay, which for those who don't know is the beverage alcohol resource. And are you also still involved with BarSmarts?
BarSmarts is on pause right now because of
I can imagine.
we're only it's still online. We're just not doing the live part. But yes.
Okay. Fantastic.
BarSmarts we did for 10 years.
Wow. Okay. So I'm and obviously author of Imbibe, imbibe.com.
No, just the book.
Okay,
not the website.
Okay. My fault. My apology. So, ragazzi, benvenuti a tutti coloro che avevano appunto piacere di seguirci con questa diretta. Io sicuramente sono molto emozionato per avere la possibilità di parlare con un mentore, penso per la grande maggioranza di noi, autore di un sacco di libri, tra cui Punch e Imbibe in italiano o Imbibe in inglese, miei libri preferiti sicuramente della miscelazione, quindi stiamo parlando con un autore, con uno storico del mondo della miscelazione. Per 17 anni ha scritto per Esquire, 6 volte ha ricevuto il premio Tales of the Cocktail, lo Spirit Award winner, è il fondatore della BAR negli Stati Uniti, docente.
Uno dei fondatori, diciamo.
Uno dei fondatori, certo, assolutamente. Okay. Tra l'altro David Wondrich parla benissimo l'italiano, quindi devo anche stare molto attento a quello che dico. Sono veramente orgoglioso e felice di poter scambiare 2 chiacchiere con Mr. David Wondrich. Benvenuto.
Grazie.
Ok, vedo già dei commenti, le domande le faremo assolutamente piano piano. Saluti da Corfu. Hey David. Hi Charlotte. Thank you so much for making this possible. Okay, so I'm going to get going with a few questions if that's okay.
Okay.
what came first, the chicken or the egg? Or rather, did you become passionate about the history of cocktail making or the cocktails themselves?
Well, I wasn't a bartender, but in my 20s, I worked in bars for 10 years as a musician. So I spent a lot of time in bars, and I always liked cocktails. Okay. But I grew up liking history and being interested in history. So that was always a part of the cocktail that intrigued me, that interested me. So when I got a job just by sheer luck writing something about cocktails, that was the part that I went to immediately.
Ok, fantastic. Quindi ho chiesto al signor Wondrich che cosa è arrivato prima, la gallina o l'uovo, come dice il detto in inglese. Se lui ha trovato prima una passione prima per la storia del cocktail, a differenza dell'esecuzione del cocktail stesso, e ci sta appunto spiegando che non ha avuto una grandissima esperienza come bartender. Diciamo che ha iniziato un pochino a sperimentare con dei cocktail una volta che, essendo sempre stato appassionato di storia, gli è stato chiesto di eseguire dei lavori appunto sulla storia della miscelazione. Fantastic. So, so did your passion become because of the works that you were asked for? The passion for cocktail history?
Yeah, I found two things. At the time, I was a college professor of English literature, and it was a job I did not enjoy.
Okay.
And I was writing about music, and somebody asked me, they saw that I was, publishing articles on music, and he asked if I could do something on cocktails because he knew I liked cocktails. And I said yes, and I found it was just as much fun as writing about music, but it paid very much better.
Ok, fantastico.
So that helped my interest greatly.
Ok. Quindi il signor Wondrich ci sta spiegando appunto il fatto che all'epoca faceva il professore, insegnava letteratura inglese e aveva già iniziato a scrivere dei vari articoli, dopodiché appunto gli è stato chiesto di provare a scrivere degli articoli sulla miscelazione e diciamo che lì è nato un pochino, anche un po' per bisogno, la passione per la storia dei vari cocktail. Fantastic stuff. So
let me add one thing also.
Of course, absolutely.
The most interesting thing for me was that very little had been written on history of cocktails, and especially very little that was accurate. And I had the training to at least find more accurate information. So
yeah,
it was an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is something I'll link on to in a short while.
Okay.
You said something very, very important, accurate information. Il signor Wondrich ci sta appunto spiegando il fatto che comunque avesse già avuto dell'esperienza nel scrivere articoli e nel trovare delle informazioni accurate. È una cosa che riprenderemo tra pochino, proprio il discorso di avere delle informazioni accurate. Fantastic stuff. So about your sources of information, how this might be, I'll try and put this as simple as I possibly can. How do you go about sourcing your information, or rather, how do you scrap the junk from the good stuff?
Well, I have a doctorate, a PhD in comparative
absolutely.
literature. And so I spent years learning how to do that, which is helpful. It's very helpful. So I start these days where everybody starts, with the internet.
Of course.
I'm a modern writer, but I use all kinds of databases that I subscribe to. So I spend money on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from there, I go to books, and then I'll go to the library and dig up magazines that haven't been digitized, etc. But I make a big timeline, and then I find the inconsistencies, and then I try to get to the bottom of it.
Fantastic stuff, awesome, awesome stuff. Quindi il signor Wondrich ci sta appunto spiegando, perché io gli ho chiesto come riesce a differenziare le fonti utili da poter comunque dopo scrivere i suoi articoli, a differenza di quelle un po' meno utili. Lui giustamente mi dice, avendo un dottorato in letteratura, riesce comunque a capire esattamente che cosa estrapolare da dove. Legge tantissimo il signor Wondrich e va comunque a scovare tramite biblioteche, articoli di giornali, libri, però come tutti noi comunque utilizza anche l'internet, che è sicuramente una fonte immisurabile di informazioni. Dopo sta anche un pochino noi cercare di capire quali sono da ascoltare e quale no, assolutamente. So, is there anything from all of your studies, because it's obviously a very extensive work that you've done, is there anything that sort of fascinated you more than something else? What sort of discovery that sort of made you think, wow?
The thing that really excited me, the most early on, was the discovery of how important punch was to the world of mixed drinks.
Yeah.
And how its history comes with the beginning of globalization, with every aspect of the modern world, goes through punch. And that really showed me that this isn't just writing about drinks, it's writing about humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Assolutamente. Gli sto chiedendo al signor Wondrich appunto se c'è qualcosa in particolare che l'ha affascinato, qualche scoperta in particolare, e ci sta raccontando appunto che sicuramente il punch è uno di quelli, perché comunque si è evoluto nel modo della globalizzazione stessa, e giustamente ha qualcosa a che fare con l'umanità. Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I think the more you dig into this history and the deeper you go, I think the more interesting it gets.
Absolutely.
And you find out just how little detail we have on some really important things. The things that, the beginning of distillation, we don't know anything about. The history of spirits in Asia, we don't know. All kinds of things like that. And there's so much territory left to explore. That's what I think is the greatest part.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, it must be, very time consuming. I mean,
yeah.
It's not just something that happens within a few minutes, grab a book or whatever.
It's my job though, so it's what I do.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Il signor Wondrich ci sta spiegando che comunque sono topic dove scavando, cercando di approfondire, diventano molto interessanti man mano che andiamo avanti. Come giustamente ci sta spiegando, ci sono tante cose ancora su cui non sappiamo veramente ben poco, come gli inizi della distillazione, per esempio, ai principi, a differenza dei primi distillati in Asia. Quindi sicuramente, come stavo appunto scherzando con lui sul fatto che è un lavoro che richiede tantissimo tempo, tantissima dedizione, però giustamente lui mi dice è il mio lavoro e quindi ormai diciamo che sono abituato, insomma. It's amazing, it really is amazing to be able to speak to, the author of a book that I read maybe 10, 15 times.
Amazing. That makes me very happy. I wrote the book for bartenders.
No, you did a great job.
My agent and my publisher wanted it to be for everybody, but I made sure to get all the bartenders in there I could.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, to be able to speak to legends like yourself, it really, it puts into perspective, you know, how great this trade really is, and how, you know, how obviously you know, traditions have changed. I mean, obviously you pick up a lot of the old recipes here. I mean, what I call classic mixology, and it's also nice to see how things have developed, you know, because a lot of these drinks maybe today probably wouldn't be drank, to be fair.
When you make them, though, they're pretty good.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
We like to play around in the lab and, you know, make some of these old cocktails. Absolutely.
I try to make them, you know, at least the first time as accurately as I possibly can, you know, and often I'm surprised at how good it turns out. Even things that look weird, and you're looking at it and saying, why would I, you know, that doesn't look very interesting. And then you make it and you're like, holy shit, that's delicious.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely. Obviously, you know, that's obviously the difference between seeing a drink on paper, as I say, and actually executing it, like you say.
You know, you have to pay very much attention to the ingredients, of course.
Of course. Quindi sto continuando la nostra conversazione con il signor Wondrich, appunto dicendo innanzitutto comunque che sono ancora molto emozionato di poter parlare con lui, parlando appunto di Imbibe, libro che avrò letto 10-15 volte, ho rispolverato di recente perché come ben sapete facciamo corsi di miscelazione, abbiamo voluto creare un approfondimento appunto sulla miscelazione, quella che noi chiamiamo la miscelazione classica. Come dicevamo con il signor Wondrich, appunto il fatto che tanti di questi cocktail oggi come oggi si farebbe magari fatica a venderli al banco bar, però come giustamente dice il signor Wondrich, spesso e volentieri su carta hanno un aspetto, mentre magari quando li andiamo a costruire, li andiamo a provare, alla fine non sono poi così cattivi. Assolutamente. Okay, so we have a question from our friend Charla. I'm going to try and insert these in as we go.
Okay.
When you discover a story that you loved for years is false, how hard is it for you to let go of that? Wow.
Ah, good question. For me, you know, it's very easy because that's sort of what I do. Is
okay.
I try to find the real story, and I know that there's a real story there, you know, behind the false one, and often that's just as interesting or even more interesting than the false one. So you know, I don't let it bother me.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's one of those cases that, as if we've always been told something and always believed in story, and then to learn that, no, hold on a minute, that's garbage. You know, I can imagine that.
Yeah, but you know, there's always a real story there, and the real story has real names of people, you know, usually, and those are people who I would like to know more about.
Absolutely. Quindi abbiamo ricevuto una domanda, e se alcuni di voi avete delle altre domande da fare al signor Wondrich, mi raccomando, approfittatene adesso, dalla nostra amica Charla, che ci ha chiesto appunto, quando il signor Wondrich va a scoprire una storia o comunque un tema che magari ha approfondito per tanti anni è falso, quanto è difficile mollare questa teoria, questa storia. Il signor Wondrich giustamente ci ha detto, spesso e volentieri in tutte le storie false c'è sempre un filino di verità, quindi si molla una strada e se ne prende un'altra cercando sempre di approfondire ed arrivare alla verità stessa. Absolutely. Of course, to you know, to be able to get, you know, dig the truth out, obviously is the most interesting part, I suppose.
It's also often, you know, you don't find it. I mean, to be perfectly honest, there are many things we'll never know. Yeah. Because it was just not recorded. But you know, was still in there looking.
I suppose in some cases, some things are fascinating as that, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
I mean, the history of the Martini and the Manhattan, which are you know, united, they're almost the same drink.
Absolutely.
We don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Giustamente stiamo dicendo col signor Wondrich, ci sono certe cose che forse non scopriremo mai della storia della miscelazione, come giustamente ha tirato fuori lui, per esempio la storia del martini, la nascita del martini cocktail e del Manhattan, che fondamentalmente sono due drink molto molto simili. Attualmente all'oggi non la conosciamo, quindi chissà, forse alcune cose sono belle anche così, senza sapere o sentire il bisogno di dover sapere sempre la verità. Okay, so like you were saying earlier, obviously you use the internet for a lot of your research nowadays. How has the internet helped you? How has it developed your researches as opposed to having to go to the library, which is obviously something you still do today?
Well, it's made what I do possible. I could not do what I do without the internet, because a lot of what I do is text searches of newspapers and books and magazines, just looking for, one or two words. To do that in a library would take a whole lifetime. It's just not possible. We couldn't do this kind of work until recently.
Absolutely. Stavo chiedendo al signor Wondrich come lo sviluppo e l'evoluzione di internet lo ha aiutato a fare il suo lavoro. Giustamente ci sta spiegando che ringraziando comunque i computer, i PC e internet, si possono fare delle ricerche anche per parole singole, perché giustamente lo stesso lavoro in una biblioteca ci impiegherebbe degli anni, quindi sarebbe letteralmente impossibile poter fare una cosa simile in biblioteca, nonostante comunque continuo ad andare in biblioteca, guardare libri, giornali e riviste varie del settore. Fantastic. If there are any more questions from people, please ask them now. Se c'è qualcuno che ha delle domande, chiedetele adesso. So, Mr. Wondrich, I know, like I mentioned earlier, we have a bartending school here in Italy, and I try to transmit all the passion that I have for bartending to our pupils. That's how you could call them. And any advice? What sort of advice would David Wondrich say to a bartender or bar lady that's approaching this job for the very first time?
It's above all, it's a human job. It's a people job. I think the drinks themselves are the least important part of the job. But being Italian myself, I'm also a perfectionist on the drinks. Everything, tutto deve essere perfetto. Le piccole cose, ma anche le grandi cose. And the biggest part is personality, is making people welcome and comfortable. And if you don't have that, there's nothing. I'll go drink at home.
Absolutely. It's something I always say, obviously the guest is the most important person.
Absolutely.
In the room. We could I often get asked, how about we do a drink with some impossible products as opposed to, where there's so much concentration on the drink itself.
It's the least interesting part of the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about stories, it's about welcome, rituals, making people feel a part of something, making people feel like they're at home. When you walk into Bar Camparino, say, in Milano, and the bartenders have all been there for 20 years, and they you don't talk much to them, but you know that you're among friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's imperative in our trade.
Yeah, and it's I mean, the people I look up to, Dale DeGroff, Peter Dorelli, I mean, these are people who are masters at making people happy.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Making people comfortable.
I couldn't agree more.
And they don't take themselves very seriously. They're willing to laugh at themselves. That's very important.
I must admit, I'll translate this part first. Il signor Wondrich, ho chiesto al signor Wondrich che consigli aveva per i nuovi bartender, i bartender che vogliono, futuri bartender che vogliono approcciare questo lavoro per la prima volta. E giustamente lui ci sta dicendo che nel nostro lavoro la cosa forse meno importante è proprio il cocktail. Dobbiamo sempre renderci conto che non è, come dicono in inglese, it's not about us. E la cosa più importante è l'ospite, sempre. Cercarli di farli sentire a proprio agio, a casa, e di non prendersi troppo seriamente, come giustamente abbiamo visto con il signor De Groff, come abbiamo visto con il signor Dorelli. Absolutely. I actually found that the bigger, there's initially we have a saying that a lot of bartenders are prima donnas, okay? And we are. I don't think this is just an Italian thing.
No, it's not. Okay. Si vede dappertutto, purtroppo.
Dappertutto, perfetto. So, sometimes ego gets in the way, okay? And I actually found myself that the bigger the legend I spoke to, you are obviously part of these people that I'm talking about, the easier to be able to approach you and to be able to speak to you.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the job, That's why I quit being a professor and moved into this industry, is because people are nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to be, as a bartender, you have to be pleasant. I go on trips, and sometimes the trips have a lot of wine people on them, and the world of wine is very different.
Yeah.
And the experts there, act very very high and mighty, because that's the wine world.
Notice.
And then in the bartending world, the expert is going to be the one who's drinking shots with the bartender on the corner,
Yeah, absolutely. Dicevo al signor De Groff, ho scoperto che comunque non è solo una cosa che abbiamo in Italia, ma un po' in tutto il mondo, il barman o la bar lady. Più che altro questa è una cosa maschile, scusate ragazzi, ma è così. Spesso e volentieri viene vista come una prima donna, no? E di conseguenza a volte anche l'ego ci mette un po' in mezzo. E ho notato che comunque ho avuto la fortuna di parlare appunto con il signor Wondrich, con il signor De Groff, con il signor Dorelli e tantissimi altri. Potete andare sul nostro canale YouTube per andare a vedere tutte le nostre dirette. Più grande è il personaggio e più sono approcciabili, ed è una cosa veramente, veramente fantastica. Dal mio punto di vista, scusate, ho avuto un momento un po' mio, però è veramente, veramente molto piacevole. So, what do you have any projects that you'd like to talk about that we may not yet know about?
Well, I'm right now finishing. I'm in the very last bits of editing, putting together the Oxford Companion to Spirits and Cocktails.
Okay.
Where we have 160 contributors, entries, something like 1,200 entries.
Wow.
On everything, and we're trying to bring in spirits from Asia and Africa and South America much more than usual. We're trying to be truly global. We're bringing in biographies of bartenders with details that nobody knows, of famous bartenders from the past, histories of famous bars, histories of cocktails, all with the original sources there. So it's a big job.
Yeah, I can imagine. Sounds really exciting though.
I hope so. I'll be glad when it's finished.
Ok, quindi chiedevo appunto al signor Wondrich il fatto di che cosa, se c'era qualcosa che aveva piacere di condividere con noi ai fini di progetti, e ci sta raccontando appunto che sta facendo l'edit su un progetto molto molto grande che raccoglierà circa 1200 ricette con bartender da tutto il mondo, più o meno conosciuti, con le loro biografie, quindi è una collaborazione molto molto grande. Do you have any release date for this?
End of next year.
End of next year. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm being asked, how many pages is this work going to be?
600, 700.
Wow,
Yeah.
700 pages.
Ma non solo bartenders, anche spirituosi,
Ok.
distillazione,
La distillazione.
c'è molta roba tecnica che non capisco tanto bene.
Fantastico.
Ma abbiamo gente che capisce tutte queste cose.
Perfetto, perfetto. Che bello. Veramente, veramente molto bello. I'm just going to see if there's any more questions. Otherwise, I know you're on a very tight schedule, so I won't keep you longer than needed. So when hopefully when all this blows over, I will be able to host you here in Italy.
I would love that.
Fantastic.
I'll be there, so you know.
Fantastic.
I'm just waiting to come.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to coming over to the US at some point very soon. I have an invitation from Dr. Groff and his fantastic wife,
fantastic! Yeah,
Jill, who I was in touch with during, because I did 2 appointments with Mr. de Groff. To be honest, people like yourself and Mr. de Groff and Peter Dorelli, I could speak to for days on end, but I realized that that wouldn't be possible.
Well, you know, we could do it again sometime, and you know, I'll come to Italy, and
fantastic.
We'll do it there.
Okay, so one last question. Charlotte asks, where is your favorite New Orleans bar? My favorite New Orleans bar?
Ooh.
With tails, I suspect that this is a tough choice, right?
Yeah, tough choice. Napoleon House.
Okay.
Latitude 29, because my friend
I thought that'd come up.
That's there, but also oh boy, so many. Harry's Corner, the Chart House. I've got about 12 dives.
Wow.
The Aaron Rose. There's so many. It's a great city for drinking.
Yeah, I can imagine. And there's a great vibe too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. L'ultima domanda che è stata chiesta al signor Wondrich dalla nostra amica Charla è appunto i bar preferiti del signor Wondrich a New Orleans, e ne ha elencati alcuni tipo Latitude 29, a differenza di Napoleon. Ci sta raccontando che comunque New Orleans è una di quelle città dove c'è una bellissima vibe. Non so se lo sapete, ma New Orleans è anche la casa, tra virgolette, di Tales of the Cocktail, che è uno dei festival dell'hospitality forse più grandi al mondo, dove arrivano esperti e personaggi veramente da tutto il mondo. Okay, Mr. Wondrich, I shall not take any further of your time. It has been my absolute honor, really.
Antonio, it's been such a pleasure. Ci vediamo, speriamo.
Vediamo. I have your details, so I'll send you an email perhaps when we're ready to do such a thing.
Okay, arrivederci.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Ciao a tutti ragazzi, vi voglio ricordare che questi video saranno sul nostro canale YouTube. Il prossimo ospite è lunedì ed è niente meno che il maestro Salvatore Calabrese. Quindi
did you say hello to Salvatore for me?
Absolutely. I aimed pretty high. I started off with Mr. de Groff. I had to fit Mr. Wondrich along the way. I'm having fun doing this, I must admit. I'm learning a lot of stuff.
That's amazing. Well, hopefully one day, you know, we'll all have a drink together.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Okay, ciao.
Thank you so much. Ciao a tutti e una buona serata.
Ciao a tutti.
Quindi, ragazzi, seguiteci sui nostri canali social. Io sono Antonio di The Garage Cocktail. Un buon weekend a tutti.